Sports Bucks with Steve. We are back once again. We want to thank you guys for tuning in to Sports Bucks with Steve and our YouTube channel. We're trying to block out the sun, as you guys can see. It's always a little bit of a shade. And so we're now moving around a little bit. But this is Sports Bucks with Steve. I am the retirement wealth coach, certified, bona fide financial fiduciary, and host to this fun ride called Sports Bucks with Steve. If folks don't realize, I am also a best-selling author, Amazon best-selling author of The Success Formula with Jack Canfield. I was one of the only financial planner in that book. And we are here to talk sports as I have a passion for it. I'm a youth football coach down in Pembroke Pines, PPO, coaching the likes of Nick Bosa and having watched and seen and covered some of the finest young talents, Patrick Surtain Jr., the list goes on and on, Dalvin Cook, Lamar, the great freak show, Action Jackson. Oh man, we've seen it all. Joey Bosa, we've seen it all. We've covered it all. And some guys that you guys may not be aware of, but we've had a chance to coach and cover. Even Teddy Bridge over troubled water. We've seen that young man when he played for Bunch Park. This is Sports Bucks with Steve. Hey, let's get right into it as we go into bowling. I want to go right into one of the most ridiculous things I've heard recently by what I call a paid professional TV troll. This is a professional media troll who spreads this gospel. And I say gospel because I put a spell on you to people who fall under this false narratives that a lot of these guys are now being paid to spew complete foolishness. And so I want to go over this right now as we talk about Jordan, aka the myth, or is he actually the legend? This guy will contradict himself, and you guys know who I'm talking about here. This is Colin Cowherd talking about Michael Jeffrey Jordan being some type of mythical creature like Michael can't be talked about when he literally is talking about Jordan. And so that was the irony of what this gentleman, I'm using that word very, very loosely, talks about when he says that Michael Jordan is a myth. And it's just, it sort of just blows you away when you hear about some of these things that people are stating and making these comments about legendary players like Michael Jordan. And for years and years and years, he's been considered the GOAT because of his resume, not because of what these guys say. It's been because of Jordan's resume. So I was looking for the video that I'm getting ready to share. And it's just, to me, it's just so beyond ridiculous that you hear a guy talk about Michael Jordan in such a way that is just, well, it's one of those words where it says when people say it lacked context, right? He lacks so much context to what he says that it's just scary in terms of what he's saying. So let's go to this video, and then I'm going to talk about it and kind of want to disseminate the foolishness that Mr. Cowherd talks about.
Tried baseball. He failed. He tried ownership. He was awful. He tried the Wizards. It bombed. Everybody understand that take out Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson, this whole Michael Jordan mythology is sort of just that. He's arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. Michael was always a bit of a selfish player. He's a bit of a selfish guy, and he's not great at building community. He's great at building wealth for Michael Jordan. That's fine. It's not a criticism. It's a reality of who Michael is.
So he says he's good at building wealth. And he's failed. Michael Jordan, let's see. Failing, let's see the definition of failing. He said he tried baseball, he failed. Well, let's look at that. Michael Jordan hadn't played baseball in over 15 years, wanted to pursue a dream that his father was his father's first love, his deceased dad, by the way. And he decided to join when he retired from the Bulls the first time. He came and became a single A baseball player and actually moved up to double A and was showing promise. It was then a decision for Michael Jordan when he had a particular game when he was shooting Space Jam that he wanted to play against some NBA guys and decided that, hey man, this might be a time for me to get back into this game because this was an opportunity. This was an opportunity for me to be able to get back into the game and play the game that I love. And now that I see I can kind of compete with these guys, he built a gym on the set of Space Jam to make himself better when he came back after playing baseball, realizing that, hey man, I wasn't in the shape that I needed to be when I came back after the 18-month layoff. He brought a lot of the NBA players like Larry Johnson and the rest of those guys that came down there to play, and Michael got himself into basketball shape, and the Bulls won 72 games and the NBA championship. So did Michael Jordan fail at baseball? No. Michael Jordan was elevating his game and decided that he wanted to go back to doing what he was the greatest at doing. Now he says he failed at the Wizards. Let's take a look at the Washington Wizards roster. The Washington Wizards roster, prior to Michael Jordan got there, was a mess of a team. Jordan only came back to play with the Wizards because he was looking for ownership that Abe Pollin had suggested he would be able to get if he came back to play for the Wizards at that time. And so that way it was a matter of Michael sort of coming in and being more of a player / potential owner is the reason why he came back to play for the Wizards. Now, somehow, this same older guy at 38, 39 years old and 40 years of age took a team that was not even close to the playoffs and had them with 20 plus wins, better than the previous season. He had them in a position of being the second or third seed in the East as a 39-year-old, 49-year-old basketball player, 40-year-old basketball player before he hurt himself. He had a 50-something plus game for the Wizards at that age. Still averaged over 20-something points a game at that age. So he failed? Context matters, man. And a lot of these guys that get on these shows, like Colin Cowherd, like Shannon Sharpe, Skip, like Nick So Wrong, he can never write. They get to talking about they lack context. And what they do is they have these internet trolls who just regurgitate foolishness. Michael Jordan, instead of me talking about it and continue to go over it, because for some reason, Nick So Wrong can never be right. Shannon Sharpe, who's never been an NBA basketball player that I understand, he's a Hall of Fame football player. But even that don't mean you can't be wrong about football. We're gonna save that for my Dallas Cowboys check-in show next week with Jersey Gene and Love. But so I would take the opinion of Kendrick Perkins, who was a marginal, solid NBA player, nothing spectacular, and would be basically solid to below average on the offensive side of the basket on the court, who happened to win a championship playing with Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce, by the way. Hall of Famers. And another guy that's arguably a Hall of Famer, Rajon Rondo. He thinks LeBron is the GOAT. Okay, a guy your team used to beat up on. And we want to take Jay Williams, who got injured, who came out of Duke. These are the only people saying this. But let's listen to the people who actually played the game at a much higher level, who schooled Mr. Shannon Skip Sharpe in regards to the greatest of all time, aka Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
The NBA GOAT channel, where I cover anything related to the NBA and talk about news, probabilities, and share my opinions. Today I have a pretty fun video here for you to watch. As we all know, Shannon Sharpe has for the last few years been a huge supporter of the notion of LeBron being the GOAT. Here in this video, I want to share with you guys as Shannon gets schooled by ex-NBA players such as Allen Iverson, Al Harrington, Ron Artest, who's played against all three in Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe, as well as an ex-NBA coach in Mark Jackson that has coached Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and so on. Before we start, I think the most weight in comments is carried by Ron Artest, who, like I said, played against MJ even at the tail end of his career, played against James for 13 seasons, if that matters. So he really got to know his game. Kobe was a little worse copy of MJ, so Artest definitely has some credibility here. So without further ado and prolonging this any longer, here are the opinions of the players and Jackson in response to Shannon Sharpe. Also, one surprise at the end of the video, so don't miss it.
How many points do you think Jordan could average in today's NBA?
What's the most he ever averaged? 37?
37-1.
All right, so 40 easy. 40 easy. 40 easy. Yeah, 40 easy. Like 40 is easy. 40 would be easy for Black Jesus.
Because Harden, I think Harden a couple of years ago averaged 36. So you figure Jordan could average 40 with no problem. I'm gonna ask both of you guys.
And you add to that when he averaged 37, he was doing it with two. It wasn't even no three. They weren't shooting 3-pointers like how they shoot now. You know what I'm saying? Just imagine if Michael decided to shoot 6-7 threes a game like they do now. Like 40 would have been easy.
You played in both eras. How many points do you think Jordan would literally average per game? Today?
Shoot. More than James Harden.
James Harden had a season he averaged 36.
More than that. For sure.
Really?
For sure. And I was at the Jordan era.
Yeah.
I was in the LeBron, Kobe,
Yeah.
Duncan, and I was at the tail end.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I played with these guys.
Right.
I've seen all the 3-point balls before.
Right.
Jordan was short. No way. Jordan averaged 50.
You believe Jordan would average 50?
If he wanted to, James Harden wants to average 50. He can't.
Right.
He's at 38.
Right.
Amazing.
Right.
If Jordan wants to average 50, if he was playing his era, I think he averages 50. And this is no disrespect to any other guys that's killing, like KD, you know.
Yeah, all those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, not all
the guys, Steph and LeBron and all those guys. Yeah. In today's game, the rules as they are, how would Jordan do, and how many points do you believe he would average?
I don't think anybody's averaging 60 or 70.
Okay.
So those days are over with.
Nobody's gonna get Will 50 a game, huh?
Not 50 a game. No, that's not gonna happen. But I will say this: Michael Jordan would average whatever he want to average.
You believe he can get 40 a night?
Yeah, he can. I mean, yeah. If there's no question about it.
40 a night,
Yeah,
40.
Yeah.
How you gonna get 40? If you go,
I'm not here to break it down and decipher it. I'm telling you as a witness. I'm testifying on behalf of Michael Jeffrey Jordan that he would average 40. If we see guys averaging 30,
right,
and 35, with all due respect, that don't have the arsenal that he has offensively.
well, you know you have to add that 3 ball. You got to add the 3 ball to get to 40. Because you look at the guys, Harden was the last guy. I think Harden averaged 36, and that step back 3, he put that in. Obviously, the free throws, Jordan went to the free throw line a lot. He didn't go as much as Harden, but I don't know how you get to 40 without that 3 ball.
Well, Jordan's gonna go to the free throw line more than he did back then because we were able to beat him up,
Right.
and it was ignored to
Right.
a certain extent.
Okay.
So, and he added the 3 ball in his career. We watched him against the Blazers knock down 3. That wasn't his specialty,
Right.
but it wasn't like he was a liability shooting the basketball. Michael Jordan would average whatever he wanted to average.
I ask this of everybody that come on the show, so I want to hear from you. Give me your top 5 basketball players of all time, and I want to know who the GOAT is.
The GOAT is Michael Jordan.
See, there you go. See, I don't even know why we don't even go any further. You know who the GOAT is. The GOAT still playing here in LA.
Hold on. LeBron James.
Yeah, GOAT James is what they call it.
LeBron James came to my city, Miami, and turned my city up.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. You know, Shaq did it with D-Wade when he tripped.
Yeah.
LeBron most definitely came and turned my city up. But when we say the GOAT now, we talking about that's abbreviation for greatest of all time.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's the acronym. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure we on the
Yeah.
same page. And that's what Michael Jordan is.
You know what, Ross? You know what? I ain't gonna
That's
even
what
fight
Michael
you.
Jordan
I ain't gonna
is.
even fight you, but you know what time it is. Okay,
Of course, I know what LeBron is. LeBron gonna come number 2.
Okay. Well, so I fill out the rest, the other top 5. Who you got? You got Jordan 1, you got Bron 2.
I got Jordan 1. I got Bron 2. And number 3, I'm gonna go with Barkley.
What?
Yeah, that's I like certain kind of players. I love OGs. That's what I love about Jordan so much. Jordan was hard. He looked like he was a goddamn college student, but Jordan really was hard.
Okay, so you got Barkley in the 3 spot. So I can't wait to see the last 2. Or you might have Manute Bol in the 4 spot.
Nah, because I won't say Manute Bol. He was soft. I say Shaq.
Okay, Shaq in the 4
If you
spot.
want to talk about centers, I say Shaq.
Okay.
Right?
Number 5, you got one more spot left. So that means Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, KD, somebody getting left off. And I just Oscar Robertson, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell. So I want to know
I ain't gonna go to Bill Russell now. When I started saying Bill Russell, I was a youngster when Bill Russell. I let y'all handle all the stats. I'm talking about the youngsters that we used to see do their thing. But
So that means Kobe Bryant.
No, that's what I was going to say. That's what got to be Kobe. I'm going to take Kobe over Larry Bird.
What about Magic?
Magic, most definitely was an OG, but I was a shorty. My mama was screaming at the TV when they was watching Magic.
So, obviously, the last person obviously was Rick Ross, legendary rapper out of Miami, and talking about the GOAT debate. I don't think there's any much to debate with this, to be honest with you. And Kobe, put some respect on Bean's name. He didn't become talking about top 5 or top 10 when he died. That's another silly thing that people say. Kobe Bryant has always been, if you ask people, Jamal Crawford, you ask the Jason Tatums of the world, you ask all these different guys that played against Kobe, Dominique Wilkins, and they know what he was and what he meant to the game of basketball. On the offensive side of the game, I don't know if there was a more skilled guy. And on the defensive side of the game, him and Michael Jordan have the most scoring titles and all defensive than anybody ever. Michael, 10 scoring titles, 9 all defensive titles, NBA MVPs, 5 of them. He should have had probably 8. And Defensive Player of the Year in the same year that he also won the Slam Dunk Contest and the NBA All-Star Game. This is when Scottie Pippen was averaging 8-9 points. But Scottie Pippen, he couldn't win without Scottie. Come on, stop it. He took a Division II guy from Little Arkansas who was a 8th or 9th pick by the Seattle Supersonics, traded to Chicago, and Jordan made that guy a much better basketball player. Jordan was already the MVP. That is different than LeBron, who went with Dwayne Wade, who was already an NBA champion and a first-team All-NBA when LeBron went there. That's why everybody was so upset, because it wasn't because LeBron went to Miami. It was because LeBron went to team up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, 2 perennial All-NBA guys, All-Stars, Hall of Famers. Jordan inherited and brought up Scottie Pippen along the way. And Phil Jackson was not a Hall of Fame coach. Phil Jackson was a coach in Puerto Rico, I believe, and was on the staff of Doug Collins, who hadn't won nothing prior to him getting with Michael Jordan or Shaq and Kobe. How did it work out when he went to New York, when he didn't have those legendary guys? It didn't. This is Sports Bucks with Steve. We're going to take a real short commercial break just to pay one of my advertisers I just brought on. That's, well, actually, my people. And we're not really going nowhere, but we're just going to come right back and finish this thing up with Ball So Hard and a little bit about the Ja Morant.
After the 2008 Wall Street crash, everyone thought this won't happen again anytime soon, right? Then 2020 happened. Protecting your money is more important than ever, and the uncertainty of when the next bank crisis will happen has put people on edge, especially if you're planning for retirement. That's why you need to talk to the experts at Fig Wealth Partners right away. There's a reason Fig is called the Retirement Wealth Company. You get strategic guidance from experienced financial professionals like Fig Managing Partner and Amazon best-selling author of The Retirement Wealth Coach, Stephen L. Crawford. Now, the first 10 people to call and book an appointment will receive a copy of the movie The Baby Boomer Dilemma, made by economists, industry experts, and a Nobel Prize winner. Call 980-216-8487. That's 980-216-8487. And find us online at figwealthpartners.com.
And we're back. Folks, it'll be real short. I want to get right into Ball So Hard.
So hard, got a pro clock, rollies and don't tick tock. So hard, got a pro clock, rollies and don't tick tock. So hard, got a pro clock, rollies and don't tick tock. So hard, got a pro clock, rollies and don't tick tock. So hard, got a pro clock, rollies and don't tick tock.
Ball So Hard. We want to talk about it. Ja Morant is back. Let's hear what Ja had to say as he reflects on his suspension and some of the decisions that he's made. And then we will maybe hear a little bit. You know what? Before we go to that, I want to finish up and I want to hear from Mario Chalmers. This had a few people aggravated and upset about what Mario Chalmers had to say. This is another guy that played with LeBron. And so why would he not know? These fans get so caught up in their britches, in the hips, because if everybody don't agree that LeBron is such and such. But listen to this. This is the difference. People feared Jordan. They called him Black Cat. Don't talk about him. They didn't have the same fear with LeBron.
But I say this. Nobody fears LeBron. Nobody's like, damn, I gotta go play this LeBron tonight. Nobody said that. I don't know why.
Right.
Because I've seen people be scared when they actually line up to him, but they're not scared thinking about that matchup.
Right.
You hear anybody from that era talk about going against Jordan, there's a fear.
Right.
So when you have people that fear a player, then that's telling you something different already. Like, Jordan's just that guy. Like, everything was, I want to be like Mike.
Right.
Jordan is just that guy. And this is what I'm talking about. So folks who are not old enough to understand or who haven't watched Michael Jordan play, Michael Jordan retired at his apex in 1998. My son was born. That was 25 years ago, right? He played when he was in the Wizards, when he was a few years later, when he was older, and that wasn't the same guy. It was like a boxer who stayed around too long and wasn't the same guy that he was. You remember Roy Jones stayed in the game too long, and he wasn't the same, Roy Jones. That's why Fat Joe said he had to lean back. That made Roy Jones be upset. Even Roy Jones, as great as he was, and he's still one of my favorite fighters of all time. And to me, a top 10, top 15 pound for pound fighter, for all time, Roy Jones Jr. And that's kind of what you saw with Michael Jordan, just coming in and just staying in the game too long. But I want to hear this interview with Ja Morant before we kind of get ready to get out of here. But listen to the Ja Morant, who's now back playing with the Memphis Grizzlies after serving this NBA suspension and getting himself some help with folks. So check this out.
Went there constantly to learn how to, manage stress, cope with stress in, a positive way. Instead of, ways I've, tried to deal with it before that, caused me to make mistakes. So.
You've been, pretty outgoing in the past on social media. You said you like to pride yourself in a way of kind of showing the real job, in that light. Do you still feel like you'll be able to be that person where you can go on Instagram Live and still tweet, as much as you used to before this incident?
I won't be doing that at all. me saying things, actions speak very louder than words. So that's my main focus now. Obviously, super excited to be back with my teammates. That's, the main thing right now. So right now for me, it's just, keeping the main thing, and continuing to, go through my process of, becoming, a better me. I feel like, if I do that, not only will it help me, but it'll help, everybody around me as well.
Josh, out of all this, what has been the most difficult part for you to accept out of all this?
Being away. Obviously, I made, a terrible decision. Plenty, made many mistakes in the past. But, being away from, my team, definitely, what hurt me the most. I sent message to them, apologizing and stuff, but, it's better to, talk to them in person. So finally being able to be back to do that, definitely, helps me out a lot and, make me a lot more comfortable.
Hopefully makes him a lot more comfortable. And we salute Ja Morant here at Sports Bucks. We think every young man, every person deserves an opportunity to get himself back, back in what he needs to be in. And so we're excited about that. I got a new segment that I want to share with you guys that I think is kind of I want to share with you guys that I think is kind of funny, as we'll kind of do a little bit of a humorous thing today as we get ready to get out of here. And in other news, I don't know if you guys have heard the story. Before we go to that, we call it the love of money or the love of the game. Shaquille O'Neal, the great Shaquille O'Neal, who was mentioned as in Rick Ross's top 5, greatest players ever, they say he's cut off his son financially. I don't know if I have the, he feels like, hey man, I'm rich, you got to make your own way. And he wants to see his son become a young man. Listen, I think that, everybody has their way of doing things. I don't know if that's necessarily the right way to go, but let me see if I have that video before I kind of give us a little bit of humor and we take it out of here. Let's see if that'll play. Shaq. Now, I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but this is sort of and this is courtesy of Marcellus Wiley.
Shaq said he's cutting off his son. Yo, he's a grown man now, and I'm rich. We are not rich, so no money for you. Text me back, man, because obviously my daughter's in grad school. She's 24, but I still support her. Damn right. I don't believe in that cutting off stuff. I don't let the government at 18 or just society at large, 21. That's my daughter. As long as daddy's alive, and when I'm gone, especially, she's going to have full reign. But as long as I'm here, I'm looking out. Now, within reason, I want her to earn hers. But to me, it's like we're going to meet somewhere in the middle. Whereas you earn yours, and I support you till you earn yours fully, right? And that age, I don't know. I hope it's sooner than later, but at the same time, there's no age criteria. Because at 18, you've been raising them that whole time, and then you just say, bye-bye, fly, baby, fly. Not right, not fair. I know I didn't feel good to me at 18. There were times where I was like, yo, I need support, I need help. And they were like, you grown. I was like, how am I grown? I just don't live here anymore. I ain't grown. Man, I'm 18 years on the nipple damn near. And then all of a sudden you just, kick me out, or I go to school and then it's just like, peace. And then you buy more makeup, Avon. Why don't you hook me up? I actually got plans with my life. All I need is a little octane in the fuel, a little jet fuel. That's all, right? So I don't believe in the cutting off stuff. I really don't. But I don't chastise anybody who does. That's their way. But I'm on the other side of the fence with this one. I think there's tremendous pros. One, I'm like old school. Not old school like in conventional ways, but old country, like yesteryear. When your last name, you become from prince to king. Like I'm like that. I'm like, Lion King, like Mufasa. And then this is Simba. One day he will reign supreme. Like if you got my last name, especially if I created you, I'm going to look out. Now, that doesn't mean I'm always going to give you what you want. Doesn't mean I'm going to give you anything you need. I'm going to give you what I think you need if you're asking me, right? You talking about what you need. No. You came to me, right? Okay, let's talk about what I think you need. This is negotiation. You tell me what you need. I'll tell you what I think you need, and then we're going to go there. Because, man, I'm only helping you to get up. Like this crutch needs you to still be able to walk. Like you can't just get on crutch and just say, hold me up, fall, right? So I'm a crutch. You still got to do your part. I'll do my part. So when I saw that article where Shaquille O'Neal said he's cutting his son off because, hey, he's old enough and that's what it is, I respect it. Shaq way richer than me. His son's still going to be all right. And he wants his son to earn his own. I do too. Except I want mine to happen like an airplane. Like, you know, an airplane has a runway and then it takes off gradually. You sound like Shaq and a lot of other people subscribe to the helicopter. Okay, you're 18, get in a helicopter. Straight up. Bye. Peace. Nah, I got to get my kids runway. So, damn it, don't share this podcast with MJ or Raya and Olivia because they are way too young and they're going to be way too expensive. But Morocco already knows that I'll.
So I agree with Marcellus Wiley, and he has a really good podcast as well. You know, and so I think that, you know, we have been conditioned, and at least in my community, which is the African American community, you know, people tend to, all right, get out my house, right? You're 18, 19, you got, hey, go swim. And it's like, no, there are other communities that build their wealth and they allow their kids to grow. I was actually just hired a virtual assistant. Shout out to Kinza, who is their families stay together unless they get married and they move apart, but they live together in their communities. And I think that is something that we can learn from. A house is a community, and even when other foreigners come to America, they live with each other until they can build up enough wealth, and then they go on, and then the next person comes over and does the same thing. We've got to practice that sort of community relationship, that community building and wealth building, you know, and so giving your children an opportunity and a leg to stand on and making sure that they're on a solid platform. And when they do leave the nest egg, they's gone. They ain't coming back, right? You know, so we don't want them leaving and then coming back and leaving and coming back and leaving and coming back. We want you out my house. I want to be Martin when it's time for you to go. When you're ready to go, I'm throwing you out. I don't want you coming back, you know, so I want to be able to come into your house, eat your food, run up your electricity if I need to, right? And so I think that's where Shaq kind of misses it maybe. Now, I don't know what kind of planning he's done with his kids, what sort of coaching and elevating he's done, but I think it's just a matter of, you know, we've got to be honest with our children. We got to be able to make them ready for the world, right? And preparing them the best way you can. And so, you know, so I want to give you guys a new segment as we start to wrap this thing on up. Appreciate you guys again for supporting Sports Bucks with Steve. This show has been growing rapidly. I'm so thankful for everybody that's helping out. Remember Figwell Partners, Ford Insurance Group, My Virtual Docs, Pharmacy Shop. There's so many that sponsor our radio show that you can listen to every Saturday morning on KCAA Radio, station that leaves nobody behind. And you can also catch Sports Bucks with Steve radio version on the various different podcast platforms that's out there. We play it every week. We've got a whole bunch of shows we've done. So we want to thank you. But I got one little more thing for you before we go. I got a new segment called, Man, Get Your Boy. And in the spirit of basketball, I want to play you this video that I think is funny. There was a video with Paul Pierce was talking with who was he talking? He was talking with Jalen Rose, and he wanted to make the case that he was greater than Dwayne Wade. So this is one of the most classic videos, but I thought it was funny, and I wanted to reshare it with you guys if you hadn't seen it. Check this out.
Don't backtrack. He's made all NBA first team twice. Paul hasn't done it. He made all NBA 8 times to your 4. He made all defensive team 3 times to your 0. He's won 1 scoring title. You weren't able to win the scoring title.
That's too bad.
He has 3 rings. You have 1 ring.
Ooh, 3 is bigger than 1.
Okay, I'm sorry. That always gets me. It's I forgot a young lady's name, but her background noise and that's not. The 3 is better than 1. So this is Sports Bucks with Steve. As we celebrate another show, I'm looking at the one to try to see who's out in front of my yard. But this is Sports Bucks with Steve, and this is another YouTube show We thank you guys for once again tuning in, and tell a friend. We're growing. We're here to have different shows. We're going to have other shows. We're going to do Cowboys check-in. We'll only do Cowboys show. We're going to have an NFL NFC East show. I'll bring in certain guys that represent the Cowboys side, that'll represent the Eagles, the Commander, the G.I. Joe Commander, the New York Giants, the Littlemen. We'll do some other NFL talk. We'll bring in Packer fans, Cheesehead fans. We'll bring in some 49er fans, bringing on the show some Steeler fans. We've got a young lady named Natalie who is a huge Steeler fan. So stay tuned for some really, really fun shows. We'll even have some Florida high school football check-in, and then we'll try to get one from the state of Texas possibly, as well as California, like the three big states. And I'll have some people that will come in and talk about that. And we will also do a college football segment where we'll talk college football as the season gets closer. But this is Sports Bucks with Steve, NBA talk as well. Thank you again for listening. This is the Retirement Wealth Coach. We will see you in a few days. Enjoy yourself. I'm out.